I lost my phone stand, unfortunately, so I just have to kind of hold it. Had an experience today. I tried to make a video earlier, but it's a little bit rambly, so I'm gonna try one more time. We use an online medical service where they just kind of do referrals and send you to get lab work and everything from online to wherever your local area is. And I kind of had a realization about psychological abuse, brainwashing, emotional abuse, complex PTSD. And PTSD, I believe things do cross over a lot more in there than people do think sometimes. They're different, yes, but very similar. So I had to go get a blood draw, and I had been to this lab before. I have to make sure to preface with that first. I've been there before. The first time everything went fine. They were able to do the vials and put the label on and do whatever they do to send it off. This time, it was just some normal lady that came out. And I have to say normal because it's not like she was being mean or anything, but I do think she thought I was being rude to her because I was having a full-blown panic attack. And I might not look autistic, but I am autistic, so I'm still like a scared child when things happen that are confusing. Somehow, even though nothing has changed, I mean, we have everything is exactly the same as last time. She could not pull up whatever was legally required to draw my blood in this state, even though the last time I didn't have anything printed out and I went in and everything. She got snippy because I kept telling her that, just because I was, I'm confused. I don't know her job, so, I can't say for a fact. But I just assume, she works there, she's telling the truth. I'm just confused. I'll say a confused child, because I do believe autistic adults still sometimes fit that. I am one of them. Not saying every single human being has the same experiences as me, but it happens. So I tried to pull up that maybe if she could check previously, because I'd been there, maybe they did something different. I think she just thought I was being just rude to her the whole time, or intentionally, maliciously rude, instead of me just having a panic attack that got worse and worse and worse as this went on. And I realized after this, I was actually, this was definitely PTSD. It was PTSD being triggered because when you've grown up in a situation where your parents are psychologically or emotionally abusive or unhealthy, or you've grown up in a cult, or anything that can be in that sphere of psychological abuse, you have a broken people detector. You don't understand, you can't read people, you can't tell between good people and bad people, you can't really gauge trust and truth and good behavior and bad behavior, and you can't really regulate yourself, unfortunately, too, which leads to overwhelming panic attacks. And if you have autism, it just turns into a meltdown. It's not fun. What I realized was, holy shit, I bet everybody else who's ever been in this situation might think they're crazy, kind of like how I felt like I must be crazy or something's wrong with me. And I realized this is the side effect of psychological and emotional abuse, neglect, just unhealthiness, and in general, it may not have to be intentional malicious abuse, but just even the kind of neglect that can happen that's not like somebody maliciously abusing their kids. It can still cause something like this. I'm not a professional, and I'm not here to advise you on medical stuff. Obviously, I just, I know other people are in the same situation. I don't want anybody to feel like they're a weird alien having abnormal symptoms. So more to the point is, I realize this is a result of when you grow up in that kind of environment, you're conditioned and taught that if you have an emotional reaction or a reaction that displeases someone, they will make bad things happen to you. And to me and other people who've been in a similar situation, this is normal. To us, the default human is humans that act this way, because usually it was parents, partners, bosses, community, church, and cult leaders type people. It's usually those people who are in a position of authority, and that's what it's normal. To you, it's normal for this kind of repercussions to just be normal. You don't understand that the way that you've been raised and treated your whole life is actually abusive and bad because you've been taught it's normal. And if you also had an experience like this where you have a panic attack, but it's like a severe one, you're probably being triggered, and it's probably because you're subconsciously, oh, there goes my mirror light, subconsciously thinking, oh wow, if I upset this medical person, they'll mess up my tests, or they'll jam the needle in my arm too hard because they think I'm rude to them. I mean, and I don't think most people do this. Let me be clear. I 99% sure this was just a normal lady. She was a small, heavy set, pretty Mexican lady with fake eyelashes. Like, I have nothing bad to say about her, in any way, except for that I have to tell myself she's probably not like all the bad people in life. She's probably a normal person, and she's just not understanding from your perspective that you're being triggered and having all this negative stuff come up, and maybe she doesn't understand how autism works or panic attacks or any of that. She's, a very small woman, though, so this wasn't like me being overtly scared. It's that I never want to go back there again because I'm afraid that something bad will happen to me because I displease this person who has to take my blood and send my test off to people. Not saying she would do this, it's just that my experience is this is how people are. And it's unfortunate. Like, I never hope I have to meet anybody else who that's their default experience, but sadly I have met some of you on here who are really great people who do have the same perspective, and we kind of have to tell ourselves this and then make quick videos of stuff like this so that I can say, hey, you're not crazy, you're not alone, it's just the complex PTSD, and it's the conditioning and, old things, just because we've never didn't have the experience of growing up with normal humans that were healthy, or healthy humans. That's a good way to put it. We didn't have the experience of growing up with healthy humans, and it sucks. And I don't know what to do. I don't really know if I want to go to any labs in the near future. I'm going to be honest with the doctor and just explain to her, like, all this. She doesn't really understand complex PTSD and stuff either, unfortunately. But she seems like a nice lady. So I figure, at the very least, just let her know this was a very traumatizing, bad experience because it did set off PTSD. I don't want to go to that lab again because even though it's unlikely that the lady is a weird psychopath like people I've had experiences with in life, your people detector is telling you this is very similar. This is an adult in a position that can do bad things to you if you displease them. So I realized about 20 minutes later, walking through the store, that's what my brain was doing. All you can do is try to stay in the present, or like, once you become aware of that, remind yourself you're in the present. This is not one of your parents, it's not your partner, it's not a bad boss, it's not a cult or church leader that would do bad things. It is a strange person. We absolutely do not know what's on their mind. We don't know their perspective. They probably don't understand, so maybe it's what they're seeing coming out that's really PTSD. It looks different to them. It looks like maybe something rude. It's the giving people the benefit of the doubt. If you're even just realizing that, if you watched this video and my words made you just realize that's an experience that you have that you kind of already knew you were having before, you're already making progress. You're already going forward. You're already doing the right thing by saying, oh, my brain does this because it links it to this. And that's what you need to be doing. You just move forward, figure out these things. Figuring out these things, kind of doing introspection to kind of be like, okay, that's a reaction that I need to work on personally, even if it's just baby steps, even if it's like microscopic steps. Anything helps. It's really hard to deal with stuff like this, but I don't want anybody to feel crazy who went through the same thing. I want you guys to know that I am a normal human and I experienced this, and there's a lot of other normal humans out there who survived things like that, and they're just experiencing very similar things. You're not crazy. It's just being triggered and then getting overwhelmed and not being able to kind of slow down and stay grounded in that moment. It will get better over time. I know it will get better for me too. As far as I know, normal human beings, when they have a negative experience with a medical professional or a doctor, they just move on to the next one. Whereas people in similar situations to myself, where you've had psychological trauma and emotional abuse and stuff like that, you end up where you Sorry, I have ADHD and I refuse to take medicine for it anymore. Give me a moment to collect my thoughts. And I'm still overwhelmed from earlier. Okay. I am so sorry, guys. I don't script or anything when I make these. That's why I don't make videos a lot. I just kind of feel like saying stuff when there's something worth saying. For us to for us, we experience this and we don't realize how much of an elevated reaction we could be having. We don't even realize that things that happen in our life are not normal, or we don't realize they're unhealthy or abusive. To us, these things are just normal. So it's okay to take time to learn what is healthy and learn what is normal. It's perfectly fine to not immediately be like a normal human being who's perfectly functioning. Like, we had a different type of upbringing, and I know everybody's different for me. I don't say we as in everybody's the same or a collective, but just the similar types of bad things that they've dealt with. To us, that was normal. To us, that is the default perspective, and we have to unlearn it. We have to learn what is healthy, and it's okay to have these reactions. It's okay to make slow progress with these things as long as you're really trying, and as long as you're aware of what's happening and you try to remind yourself of what's happening and you take the steps to try to become the best version of yourself for you that you can be. I just wanted to put this out here. And I'm sorry about the video, but I lost my stand, which you can, hold the video either way. I am so sorry about that.